Greetings. In this episode, I will take you on a tour of Aurora, Indiana, which is the site of a minor but fateful Revolutionary War conflict. Listeners can find complete information about Aurora and other places in and around Southeast Indiana by purchasing my book, Southeast Indiana Day Trips, from my Road Trip Indiana series. This is the first book in the series and the only one available now. I will have the rest. There will be 9 altogether as the year progresses. With rising gas prices, many Hoosiers, including my wife and myself, are choosing to vacation closer to home. Using this podcast, I will tell you about the many places here in Indiana you can visit and have some unique and fun experiences. Taking the walking tour, Windows of Aurora Murals, ensures that the visitors to the charming town of Aurora will thoroughly acquaint themselves with the downtown area. Main Street Aurora sponsored the project that placed 64 beautiful murals at several sites downtown. Each of the murals depicts a scene a visitor in Aurora would have seen in the early 20th century. The 17 sites depict scenes honoring Aurora's train depot, the schools, and Aurora's riverboat heritage. You can find out more information by visiting the Aurora Main Street website at www.aurora.in.us/mainstreet.html. Near downtown on 5th Street, the lovely Hill Forest Mansion overlooks the town and the Ohio River from a high bluff. Designed by architect Isaiah Rogers and constructed by industrialist and financier Thomas Gaff in 1855, Hill Forest Mansion sits astride a hill that affords a majestic view of the Ohio River. Thomas Gaff lived from July the 8th, 1808 until April the 25th, 1884. He was the son of James and Margaret Wilson Gaff. He was native to Edinburgh, Scotland. His father, a papermaker, moved the family to Springfield, New Jersey. Gaff received his education in private schools and learned papermaking from his father. An uncle, Charles Wilson, taught him the distilling business. Thomas and his brother James founded a distillery in Philadelphia. In 1843, the brothers moved their operation to Aurora, Indiana. The distillery, called the T&J W. Gaff Company Distillery, produced bourbon, rye, and thistledew Scotch whiskey. The business thrived and their business empire expanded to include the Crescent Brewing Company, a Nevada silver mine, farming operations, and many others. The Gaffs also owned a fleet of steamboats that they used to transport their various products on the rivers. Isaiah Rogers, the architect, lived from August 17, 1800 through April 13, 1869. The son of Isaac and Hannah Ford Rogers, Isaiah was native to Marshfield, Massachusetts. A student of the famed Massachusetts architect Solomon Willard, Isaiah became a leading architect in the United States. He designed structures in Mobile, Alabama, Boston, New York City, Louisville, Kentucky, and Cincinnati, Ohio. His designs included Boston's Tremont House, New York's Astor House, and the Burnett House in Cincinnati. Hill Forest Historic Mansion is situated on 10 acres of land overlooking the Ohio River. Gaff lived in the home until his death in 1884. The Gaff family retained ownership of the home until furniture manufacturer Will Stark purchased the home in 1924. The local chapter of the Veterans of Foreign Wars owned the home. While it was a meeting place, they used it as a meeting place until a group of local citizens purchased the home in 1955. Organizing as the Hill Forest Historical Foundation, the group restored the home and opened it for public tours in 1956. The National Historic Landmark Program listed it as a National Historic Landmark in 1992. The restored home is open for tours from April the 1st until December the 30th. The home was designated a National Historic Landmark in 1992. Hill Forest Victorian House Museum is located on 213 5th Street, Aurora. You can get information by calling 812-926-0087. After taking the walking tour and touring the mansion, you can relax with a beautiful view of the Ohio River as you watch for boats go by at Lesko Park. Lesko Park occupies a grassy landscaped strip along the Ohio River waterfront. There are 3 parking areas strung along Indiana State Road 56 just west of downtown Aurora. River access for boats is nearby using Aurora Landing just off Judiciary Street. The park derives its name from Aurora Clerk Treasurer Tony Lesko. Let's Go Ohio River Park affords a wide asphalt walkway which is about a mile long. The walkway provides a great way to get a bit of exercise after a picnic lunch. It is an easy hike along the river. Visitors will find restrooms, playgrounds, picnic shelters, and a wonderful vista of the river. The trailhead for the Dearborn Trail is on the east end of the park. A winner of the Mid-America Trails and Greenway Award in 2007, Dearborn Trail spans 3 river cities' waterfronts on the Ohio River. The trail is about 4.5 miles in length, one way. Most of the trail is paved and is open year-round. The trail connects Greendale, Lawrenceburg, and Aurora, Indiana. It begins at the intersection of East William and High Street in Greendale. Dearborn Trail ends at Let's Go Park in Aurora, Indiana, near Indiana State Road 56. For much of its length, it overlooks the Ohio River. The trail uses a restored railroad bridge to cross Tanner's Creek. Hikers and bikers will find benches at various points along the trail. Let's Go Park has restrooms, picnic areas, benches. Downtown areas of Greendale, Lawrenceburg, and Aurora are a short walk from the trail. An active rail line, the CSX, parallels the trail. The section between Aurora and Lawrenceburg is wooded. Hikers and bikers may see deer, beaver, foxes, and waterfowl and shorebirds in this rich wetland area. The Tanner's Creek Bridge, the Cincinnati and Southern Ohio River Railway constructed the bridge in 1872. Athens, Pennsylvania bridge builder Kellogg and Morris Bridge Company designed and constructed the bridge. Railroads that have used the bridge include Big Four, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Chicago, and St. Louis, New York Central Railroad, and Penn Central, and now CSX. If you drive west on Indiana State Road 56, a short distance, and turn right on Lockery Creek Road, you will find Riverview Cemetery, which is a site of a minor Revolutionary War conflict called Lockery's Massacre. An historical marker notes the approximate location. The marker was erected by the Sons of the American Revolution in 1961. The text reads, quote, on August the 24th, 1781, Colonel Archibald Lockery and 107 recruits for General George Rogers Clark were ambushed at Lockery Creek by Joseph Brandt's raiders. 1/3 were killed, the rest captured. Lockery and the wounded were later murdered. Unquote. I've written a brief history of the conflict. Archibald Lockery lived from April the 15th, 1733 until August the 24th, 1781. The son of Jeremiah Lockery and Mary Murphy, Archibald was native to Octorero Settlement, Ireland. The family migrated to York County, Pennsylvania, sometime in the late 1730s. At maturity, Archibald became a powerful man, acquiring land and holding several political posts. He gained his first military experience during the latter stages of the French and Indian War, when he enlisted on July the 18th, 1763. In 1781, Lockery received an appointment to serve as colonel of the militia and given authority to recruit 200 men to launch attacks against the native tribes that were attacking the Pennsylvania frontier as part of the hostilities of the Revolutionary War. Since many men were reluctant to join the militia to leave their homes during a time of conflict, Lockery was only able to recruit 107 men. The company was ready to move by July 1781. Lockery had agreed to join an expedition led by General George Rogers Clark of Virginia. The expedition would move down the Ohio River and recruit men in Kentucky. From there, they would either move against Fort Detroit or attack Delaware and Shawnee tribes deep in the heart of Indian country in current Indiana and Ohio. These tribes were harassing the Pennsylvania frontier. Clark departed down the Ohio River, first from Wheeling, West Virginia. Initially, the two groups were to leave Wheeling together. However, Clark had a serious problem with desertion. Reluctant to leave their homes for an extended period of time, leaving their families undefended, many soldiers deserted in large numbers. This drove Clark to try to move further west, faster than anticipated, in the hopes of cutting down on desertions. Lockery arrived at Wheeling on August the 8th, only to find that Clark had already left. Lockery's men built boats and departed Wheeling after spending a few days building them. While there, Lockery sent a canoe downstream with a message to Clark relating that they were low on supplies for both horses, and would follow Clark as soon as they could. This message did not reach General Clark. Forces led by George Girty and Chief Joseph Brandt intercepted the messages and began immediately to assemble a force to attack Lockery. After departing Wheeling, Lockery kept his boat to the middle of the river to prevent attacks from the shore. Gertie and Brant shadowed the force on shore as it made its way downriver. After several days of travel, Lockery had to go ashore to allow the horses to graze and obtain food for his men. They landed near the mouth of the present-day Lockery Creek. They killed a buffalo and prepared to cook it while the horses grazed. Meanwhile, danger gathered in the woodland surrounding them. The numbers Brant and Gertie had to attack are not certain, but it was certainly somewhere between 150 and 500 warriors. The warriors attacked Lockery's force, catching them completely by surprise. In the short battle that followed, the natives forced Lockery to surrender. About 37 men died in the attack, including Lockery, who was reportedly tomahawked as he sat on a log after the surrender. The remainder of the prisoners were marched up trails by the Miami River. The natives ransomed some, killed some, and adopted others into the tribe. Only about 25 survived the attack. Clark's proposed attack against Detroit died with Lockery's massacre. Lacking the manpower to carry it out, he abandoned the plan. His capture of Vincennes in 1779 would not be repeated at Detroit. A government clerk on the first documents naming the creek misspelled the name Lockery. Lockery is spelled Lochrey. The government clerk spelled it Laughery. But the name has remained unchanged. Riverview Cemetery, the approximate location of the battle near Aurora, contains a monument to Lockery and his men, as well as a list of the soldiers that took part in the battle. You can find the cemetery at its Riverview Cemetery, 3635 East Lockery Creek Road, Aurora, Indiana, 47001. This will be the last episode dealing with Dearborn County, but there are many other fine places